All right, well, good morning, everybody. Y'all ready to get this party started, get this show on the road, get things happening now. So thank you very much for coming. This is our monthly sales meeting. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker.
My name is Mae Richardson, the compliance broker. Most of y'all know me.
Yes, yeah.
And Mark. I do
Yep.
also want to welcome Airport Fayette and also Carrollton, who's on remote right
Yep.
now.
Everybody else.
With us in live, in person.
Yep.
Large.
So well, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here, and I want to jump in. So this month, what I really wanted to kind of talk about is like what's happening in the market. So I want to kind of go with a big market update, but I also want to highlight a couple of different opportunities that we're seeing in the marketplace that are there for you to take advantage of. Not take advantage of it in a negative way, but to capitalize on. So let's talk about what's happening with sales volumes. So where are we, like what part of the year are we in right now? And before we look at any of the numbers, I just want to be conscious about where are we right now? Spring. What happens in spring? Look, our spring and summer markets are the biggest markets that we have, right? And so I want to make sure that you guys are ready for what's going on, because normally this time of year, when we start looking at past years and when we're in a ramp up stage, it never looks good. And I don't want you to necessarily look at these numbers and think, wow, that we're necessarily down. So like we are seeing pending sales down, but that's normal for this time of year. We are going to move up. And if you look at our sales trend, actually starts moving up more now, right? Because when you actually see closed sales is pretty much flat with where we were last year, but we are looking at a much better summer and spring this year than we were last year. And I want you to be ready for that, right? So I don't want you to watch headlines and see things like that and think, oh, well, we shouldn't be ready to rock and roll. If you are set up to be able to take care of a lot of clients, you're going to be in a really good place this year. So anybody hearing about foreclosures? Yeah, I mean, when you look at the graph, you think, man,
Look at that.
foreclosures are up big time, aren't they? Y'all scared about foreclosures? Well, this is what foreclosures look like. Okay, everybody wants to look at that little blip. You see when it was crazy low, that's when there was a foreclosure moratorium, an eviction moratorium, all that kind of stuff. But if you look at where it is comparatively, like those areas in red, that's when the market was. Yeah, y'all remember 2006, 7, 8, that's those years in here. And so are we in bad shape on foreclosures? No. Are we seeing more than we have in the past years? Slightly. Yep, we are. And so I'm not trying to, I'm not going to say that we aren't seeing any increase. We have seen some ups and downs, but we're always going to have some. The challenge that I have with foreclosures right now is this: 92% of foreclosures have equity.
So y'all need to talk to your clients because they really got themselves, they basically stick their hand in the sand.
That's exactly it.
And they did not consult any advice or anything like that. And they didn't realize that there's always a way out.
I just have to say, I just spoke with a young lady last week. She called me and said, my house is gonna go into foreclosure tomorrow.
See, that's the problem, is they wait until the very end kind of thing.
And she had equity, a lot of it.
Well, like that over 90, and honestly, if you think about like the folks you guys know anybody underwater? I don't really know anyone that's underwater. I don't know anybody that owes more. I mean, that owes more than what it's worth at this point. So most everybody has equity. Now, they may not like the situation that they're in. They may not be happy about having to move. Maybe they don't want to find another place. But are they better off to sell, capture that equity, and be able to move on?
Yeah.
Maybe restart? Because when the bank takes it, when the bank takes your property back, they're not giving a penny of it. I don't care if you got $100,000 in equity, they're going to find some way that you're not getting nothing back. So this is one of those places where I think that we can actually really help folks out right now. Because like I said, we're not seeing a huge uptick, but the ones that we are seeing all could have sold. And I would much rather help them sell. Actually, I'd much rather you help them sell and be able to capitalize on that,
If
right?
you have a client to call you at the last minute saying, I think my property is going to the courthouse tomorrow. Give us a call because sometimes they don't understand the letter that's being presented to them. And they may have 30 days, okay? There's a difference between receiving a letter from the attorney saying we're gonna put a courthouse step. There are things we can do, it's a little delay tactic and time, but definitely if you have clients like that, reach out to me because I could maybe walk you through and I will need some information to kind of guide you because like anything else, we have investor out there that will, basically buy it to where the seller has some equity to walk away with, but they will not get the whole entire equity. But it's better than walking away with nothing
Yeah.
and lose everything you ever put in there.
Now, I would be making posts in like social media and that kind of stuff, just saying, if you're having problems, let me know beforehand while we can still do something about it. I might be able to assist you, guide you. If you are gonna talk to folks, you have to have a little bit of tough love though, right?
Yeah.
I can't change your payments. I can't change the situation. I can't stop them from doing foreclosure, but we can reach out to them and see if we can't make some things happen.
And the
So
thing is that they're really not in position to renegotiate at that point because they put, they basically stuck their head in the sand. And so, what you have to do as an agent to let them know this is a better alternative versus not. Okay, and I think if you guys are smart, I will highly encourage you to post that headline and use social media.
that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Seriously, and say, let me help you.
Yep.
Because that is a great headline, because a lot of people don't realize, even people that don't know you, they see something like this on Facebook. And they just basically, the path of least resistance is to just ignore it. Until they force me out, I'm just gonna ignore it. And a lot of people do that sometimes, not because they don't have the ability to make a decision, it's because they got themselves in a corner. And they don't want to make a decision at that time. But if they see a little light at the end of the tunnel, they may choose that route versus being stuck in the dark.
We saw so many folks go through this in 2006, 7, 8 kind of
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
where they just didn't want to deal with it. It was just too much emotionally draining kind of thing. So, the other thing that's going on that we're seeing out there is right now, 70% of Americans are concerned about a potential housing crash.
Yep.
Now, I don't see this rooted in reality at all, and I'm going to show you why, but that doesn't mean that that's not what you're dealing with out there.
Well, that's what you guys are seeing out there too, right? Everybody's saying, I'm gonna hold on buying because I feel like I'm buying right now at the height of the market. Well, guess what? You wait another year or two, your mortgage is going up every year. It's not gonna stay the same.
Yep.
So,
But let's look at what's happening with inventory right now. Because inventory is an interesting thing going on. For the last 4 or 5 years, basically, we have been like, we need more inventory, we need more inventory, we need more inventory, right? And so we are seeing a big shift in inventory right now. And so, overall in the US, inventory is up big
30.6.
compared to last year, but still not where it was before COVID hit. Now, this is where we're at here. So Georgia MLS has 13% more new listings, and FMLS has 12% more new listings in it. And so, who are new listings good for? Everybody. I mean, now our sellers would rather we didn't have as many listings. There's no doubt about that. But it's a lot more inventory and look, more homes listed, more transactions. It really does work that way. Overall, active listings are up 32%. In Georgia MLS, and almost 50% up in FMLS. That's a pretty big deal right there. Total listings up. Now, one thing that we are having with all these increased listings, like we're seeing days on market increase.
Yeah.
Like if you're listing property, are the days of 14 days on market realistic anymore?
Yeah.
Well, but do we have to be explaining this to our sellers?
Yeah.
right? Because, I mean, it used to be, a lot of our sellers are like, well, I mean, will we get in 5 or will we get in 10 offers? You may get in 1, right? We're gonna sell this week or next week. Average days on market, 64 days on market. That's the average. That means some are 90 days, some are 30 days on market. And that's days on market before it goes under contract. And so we're seeing that there's a definite shift in inventory right now. You know, right now, as far as market absorption, what market absorption is just how many months it takes for us to go through our existing inventory. We need 6 months of inventory to have a balanced market. So we're at 4.7 in Georgia MLS, we're at 4.5 months in FMLS. But do you think that goes across the board with what we're seeing in the? Because what this doesn't account for is price point.
Correct.
So what we are seeing when it comes to price is anything under 300. You think that's a buyer's market or a seller's market? Oh, that's a seller's market. Yeah. Especially you get under 250, that kind of stuff. How about over 600,000-700,000? It's well, we have, because we have more sellers than we have buyers, right? And so just be conscious of that. It also is going to be very dependent on location. Right?
And also property condition.
Yeah. Right. I mean, just overall, but I mean, you can see, you know, 2 years ago, we were at 2 months of standing inventory. And, you know, last year we're at 3 months of standing inventory, and now we're at 4.5. Is there a shift going on? Yes or yes? Yes, right? And so again, this is good for our buyers, especially. This is good for us, but this is like, I don't want you to look at this and think, oh my gosh, that's bad. Look, we're going back to normal. It's nice to have normal. So don't be like, don't think that I'm shooting. Now, this is where our inventory is compared to last year. And here in Georgia, we were up 41% in overall total inventory this year versus last year.
So there's definitely more house out in the market. And what I'm seeing, and I normally don't work on the north side, but I have a client who's looking at Dunwoody, Sandy Spring area. I can tell you right now, most of the inventory are sitting about, if it's anywhere 30 days, they're automatically reducing them by 20 grand.
We have more price reductions right now than we've had in the last 5 years.
Yeah. And so, you know, sellers knows that they're pricing it off the gate way too high, but they want to give it a shot. So the problem with that, as a seller's agent, you need to have that true consultation with them and let them know what the market's truly doing. Now, at the end of the day, it's their money. So if they want to do that, and say in 2 weeks, if I have a lot of traffic, but no offers, or I have no traffic at all, it is an indication your price point is too high.
Right.
And the buyer, so your house is only worth what the buyer's willing to pay for, right?
Right.
I don't care if you think you got a mansion that you think is worth $1.2 million, but in reality, there's no comp that supports it. Even though it's the nicest house on the block or in the area, it doesn't matter because the buyer's gonna look at the school district, the location. Yes, it's a very nice house, but it doesn't justify the gap at $500,000.
All right. Now, some folks see that 41% and say, man, you know, like at this point, we're going to really start seeing prices starting to crash. Well, we are still down 15% in Georgia from the inventory level we were at when COVID hit, before COVID. So are we there yet? No. Are we heading towards a much more balanced market? Absolutely. Right. And so, but at the same time, remember what we started off talking about. What are we going into right now? The spring season, right? So what happened? We sell more houses over the next 4 months than we may sell in the next 8, right? So like you know, there's a big bell curve, and we do a lot of transactions spring, summer, and then heading into early fall. That's when there's a ton of transactions going on. So we are sitting on good inventory right now. This is a really good time to be representing buyers and to look at what's really going on. We aren't there yet. We're not out of the woods. We're not in a balanced market, but we are starting to head that way. Now, this shows you, this is the state of Georgia. And this shows kind of where our inventory is, just to kind of give you another visualization of what it really looks like. So you can see like in 21, 22, we had 14 and 15,000 listings. We're sitting on 42,000 listings right now for the state of Georgia.
This is why during pandemic, we were writing about 20 offers, only one stick.
Yeah.
That's because of low inventory.
So, but you can definitely see the trend. Are we increasing our inventory back into a normal range? Yes. But just remember that that puts us normal. It doesn't mean that we're looking at a market crash, right? But what is affecting, maybe what's going on with pricing right now? What are we seeing happen with prices? Well, I mean, it's supply versus demand. So when we have more supply, what happens to demand? It lowers, right? So are we seeing prices moderating? We absolutely are, right? The more inventory that we have, the number of buyers and sellers match up, prices are gonna moderate. It doesn't mean that they're going to crash. We are gonna see months where they go up 1/10, down 1/10, up 2/10, down 2/10, that kind of stuff. But now we're also heading into the spring, summer season. What always happens to prices during spring, summer? They always go up, right? Because that's when more properties sell. So right now in Georgia MLS, pricing overall is up almost 1% as far as our sales price. In FMLS, it's down 0.6. So basically it's within a margin of error. So we're seeing where pricing for Georgia MLS and FMLS are really flat.
So FMLS is predominantly north side. Okay, so it kind of tells you what the north side is doing right now. And Georgia MLS is predominantly downtown and south side.
Yeah.
So I kind of give you an indication where we are on the south side as well.
Now, as far as like the Atlanta MSA, where are we sitting at right now? March this year versus March of last year, we actually were down almost 2%. Now, don't take that to mean that we're seeing prices drop. That's not what I mean, but you got to understand that on a yearly basis, things do move. And what we're seeing is where prices are moderating, where prices are flattening. Who do we need to tell about this? We need to tell everybody, right? We need to make sure that when we're going on a listing appointment, we're being very realistic about what's going on with price. When you have a seller that says, well, we thought we'd try at this price. Well, it's going to sit on the market, right? Because, we buy and sell real estate based on comparison. And right now, we're not seeing price jumps the way it worked. I mean, a lot of our sellers kind of got used to these double-digit price increases because in Georgia, over the last 5 years, property values have increased over 50-something%, like 54%. That's not normal. Normal real estate appreciation is 4.4% a year. And I do think that we're going to end the year positive. We'll probably end up somewhere in the 2 to 3% range as far as positive value appreciation for the year. But this is pretty normal going into the early spring, coming out of winter. This is a normal thing. We see where prices are a little bit lower on the early months, and then they peak through the spring, summer season, then they start to taper off again. And again, it's supply versus demand. We see the same thing going across the board. But here's where we have a disconnect, and here's where we need to make sure that we're being very clear about a couple of different things. There's a big gap between what our sellers are asking and what the buyers are paying for. Right? Here for the Atlanta area, and when I say Atlanta area, I mean the 18 counties around Atlanta. I'm not just talking, don't think I'm talking like downtown Atlanta. I'm not talking condos. I'm talking here. All right. But overall, for the Atlanta area, the median list price is $425, but the median sale price is $395. We got a difference of $30,000. So we have one of the biggest gaps between what the sellers are expecting and what the buyers are paying for. So, two things. When you look at, when you're representing a seller, do we need to be very clear about this? That there is a big gap. And like, are people willing to pay more for your home just because you want them to? No, they aren't. And for buyers, when you start looking at properties, right, you need to be ready to discuss with your buyers that, you know what, we are seeing a lot of properties that are overpriced. And this is why we're seeing so many price reductions right now. We have more price reductions right now than we've had Gosh,
Year.
I mean, like, I don't remember when we've had this many price reductions as what we have right now.
Crash.
Well, other than, 2006, like in 2003, I mean, other than actual market corrections, we've not seen this level. Right?
That's because the seller are putting their home on the market above what the market can bear.
Right.
And they're looking at prior year sales, say, oh, well, it's next year, it should be worth more. For reality, that's kind of slightly flat depending on the location you're at, so.
Right. Because right now, and this is the US, I showed you Georgia, but in the US, the typical seller is asking $40,000 more than what the typical buyer is willing to pay.
Yep.
Those are just kind of normals that we're seeing going on. This is a pretty unique thing for our market right now.
About these price points, just so you know, that's kind of the price point what a gauge is.
But you can see where normally the prices are closer together, right? Normally we see where the buyers and seller, the gap between buy and sell is a lot closer than it is. It's nearly double what it's historically been. So, are we seeing where offers that in the past that we thought there's no way that the seller's going to accept it? Are they now sometimes accepting it? Yeah, right. I mean, sometimes when folks will throw that crazy price out there, well, I mean, we're just seeing where folks are countering back. What?
Oh, no. He calls, never mind.
Yeah, that's good. All right, yeah, never mind. All right, let's talk about mortgage rates. What's going on with mortgage rates? Yeah, I mean, mortgage rates are simple, okay? They can't decide up, down, sideways, left. I mean, like they're all over the place, right? And so we are the epitome of volatility right now. And anytime there's volatility, what does that lead to for your clients? Uncertainty, hesitation, concern, that kind of stuff. Yes. But that being said, I want to make sure that you are ready to have your clients still engage with the lender. Don't lock, but start engaging with the lender, right? Because we're seeing just some crazy fluctuations, and if you, here's what's really going on, because mortgage rates, there's a lot of factors that go into play for a mortgage rate. They follow the 10-year treasury, right? And so if you look at 10-year T-bills and you look at 30-year mortgage rates, they're in unison. They flow together. But what affects 10-year treasury? Well, first one is inflation. What's been happening with inflation? It's actually kind of moderating. I mean, we kind of, it dropped back off, and no one likes inflation. Inflation, like these numbers doesn't mean that it's ever going back to what it was. It just means that the amount of inflation this year versus last year is at this certain percentage. And the Fed wants it at 2%, right? And so we're running at 2.6. So we're still higher, but can you see a positive trend going on? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, maybe we don't like how it is, but it is moving in the right direction. The other thing is, do Americans have a lot of jobs right now? Yes, unemployment is very, very steady. I mean, unemployment is not going through the roof. We aren't seeing a huge jump in jobs, right? So this is a really good thing for us on there as well. So now the Fed sets federal funds rate policy. And so they're saying, look, we're just kind of holding back. We're not sure. We want to see what's going on. They're worried about tariffs. They're worried about the markets, all these kind of things, which will affect mortgage rates. We are also expecting 3 to 4 more rate cuts this year. Now, the federal funds rate, when they cut the federal funds rate, that's the price. That's what the banks are having to pay to borrow money, right? And so anytime that lowers, it does end up also affecting mortgage rates as well. And so as we go through the year, we're looking at 3 or 4 more rate cuts, and they meet almost every month or every other month kind of thing. So we are looking at more rate cuts coming along throughout the course of this year, which we see as being really good. These are the predictions for all the big mortgage people out there. Fannie, Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Home Builders. If you just kind of average them all in, they're looking at us somewhere around 6.6. Then we're going to move into 6.5, and by the end of the year, we should be in closer to the lower sixes. Now, it is not gonna go like this. Right? It's gonna go like this. So we have to be ready for that. And that's why I said, now's the time when you want to be getting with your mortgage, well, I mean, with your lenders, you know, talking to Sharon, talking to these folks and have them, don't necessarily lock rates. I wouldn't lock rates right. But I want to make sure, like, what do they need to be? What's going on? Start having those kind of relationships and those conversations. The, you know, like headlines do more to terrify than clarify. And it's very, very true. How's all the news been about mortgage rates? Yeah, they're all, you know, doom and gloom, everything's terrible, awful, whole 9 yards. But what's the reality? We have more purchase applications this year than we had last year. Every single month, week after week, our purchase applications are up this year significantly. Meaning we have more people qualified and sitting on the sidelines ready to buy right now than we've had in the past years. A lot more than we had last year. And if you read the headlines, would you think that we have more buyers sitting on the sidelines ready to buy now? Or do you think we have less? If you watch the news, you think, man, you know, like it's all going to hell in a handbasket, right?
If it bleed, it bleed.
Right, but you know, it lead. I love that. But like what I'm saying is it's very easy to get wrapped up in it, you know. Like I try and do my best to avoid the news anymore, kind of thing. And look at what's really happening in our marketplace. If you get wrapped up, whether it's political or just the news and that kind of stuff, you can talk yourself out of being able to like you'll be like, there's no use, there's no point, nobody's going to buy a house anyway, no one's getting pre-approved, interest rates are going through the roof, they're all over the place. I mean, like, you can talk yourself down out of real opportunity. And right now we have real opportunity. Remember, we just looked at inventory. How much more inventory do we have this year than last? And we have more buyers pre-approved right now than we've had in the past several years. So should we be sitting back waiting? No, that is not the time to sit back. We're in our spring season. So I'm kind of jumping up and down my soapbox, but like now is the time. The harvest is here, right? Don't get tied up in that. Now, one thing that is concerning to me is what's going on with repeat business. Repeat business is down. And how do the vast majority of folks in the real estate world operate? We operate off referrals, relationships. We are a relationship business. This to me is scary, right? Do y'all know what Zillow's revenue goal this year is?
In billions.
$3.5 billion. Do y'all know what Zillow's revenue goal in 2027 is?
Probably 15.
$7 billion. Now, where do they think that $7 billion is going to come from? Us. They don't want you to have relationships. Look, we need to focus more on relationships than leads. Relationships is really where it's at. And it's to the point where I want to prove it to you, right? So I went and turned on ChatGPT. I did. And I said, all right. Right now, the Atlanta MSA has 2,003,000, give or take, households, and about 67% of them are owner occupied, right? We have around 70,000 annual real estate transactions in that same area. You figure that of that, 80% are owner occupied, the other 20 are investors. And so if that works out, that means that we end up with, out of 100 people in your sphere of influence, 3.5 will move. But is that 3.5 real? That 3.5 represents not one transaction. How many transactions does that represent?
Really 7.
It represents 7 transactions on there. So for every 100 people you know, that should be 7 transactions. And when you say, all right, according to the National Association of Realtors, the average realtor sphere of influence is between 300 and 500. And That means that you should be averaging between 21 and 35 transactions a year just on talking to folks that you know. Right? Everyone in the world is trying to sell you leads, push leads, talk about leads. It's all about leads, all the talking gurus, all these kind of crap. Have y'all noticed that the people that want you to buy leads are the same ones selling you damn leads? I'm sorry, I'm pardon my language. I'm sorry. I just get, I get it because like the vast majority of our business comes from people we know and people that know us. And when I see a stat that says we are at one of the lowest percentages of referral, repeat business in our industry, and all these companies are looking at making record profits off us, like we are missing out. We're missing out on our spheres, on working on relationships, on engaging with our friends. And a lot of us have this idea that I need more leads. And I'm not saying leads are bad.
Make you bad is when you see one of your prior client went to Zillow and he get referred back to you, that's gonna make you mad. I'm serious.
Oh, we've had it happen where it's like, well, Zillow wants to charge me for this, but this is my client. When's the last time you talked to him? I'm serious, like, and this is why we have things like Bold Trail, KV Core, but like, even your phone is a database, a sphere of influence. Like you are so much better off if you just call 100 past clients, 100 folks that you know, 7 of them are going to buy and sell this year. Please focus on what the big picture here, right? It's not about leads, it's about relationships. And you guys have so many relationships that statistically we are not taking advantage of, and we're also not taking care of our friends. Right? These are people that you know. Is anybody going to take better care of somebody that you know than you? No. So please, I'm begging you.
And if you're creative, I mean, 1 month call, next month, drop some pies on Kirkland's or Costco. I mean, they're like $10 a pop. That is probably the cheapest marketing you can get. And everybody likes to eat.
Yep.
So, you know, or just a little pop-ups. I mean, they don't have to be more than $5 a pop. And just go there and make the trip, because when you go and meet them face to face, it's gonna make them feel like they're worth your time. And that's just it. A lot of people feel like I just call, email, text, but those are so sanitized to a certain extent. Is that personal space that you come in contact with them and matters the most. And sometimes it's a timing thing. So relationship does matter. I'm sorry. I keep on telling, he's like.
You have to talk to the microphone. All right. All right. I need you guys to be careful.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I love our world, but our world is not always a safe place. And unfortunately, the scammers, they are out there. So we got several things going on in our marketplace. Now, first and foremost, if anything feels fishy, if it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, listen to yourself, right? There is a bunch of scams and things going on right now. And so we got a lot of vacant land scams going on where they are going out and trying to find land that's vacant, and they want you to try and sell it for them. But they don't really have it's a complete scam. They don't have the rights to sell the property. It's not their property. They just want to get you to go give it, and they give you a bunch of fake IDs and things like that. So anytime you get vacant land, your spidey sense should go off.
And pay for.
Yeah. And anytime that you're placing offers on vacant land for a client, and it seems too good to be true, it may be. So be very careful there. We also have, we've got some different closing attorney scams going on, where we have a fake closing attorney sending over wiring instructions. Yeah. I mean, like you may be scheduled to close with, one of our local ones, and this law firm out of nowhere emails your client closing instructions, and they see an attorney's name. What do? Be very careful on that. We have a lot of folks doing, deceiving and those kind of things about sending wires. Right now, keep an eye out for someone called Winston Hopkins. He is calling female agents. and requesting to go look at vacant property. And if you push back or try and do anything to check on him, he threatens to report you to Greg and to everybody on the world.
Or your broker, so tell him, come on. I'll take the call.
Look, please, I mean, everybody has access to forewarn. You can get forewarn through Georgia MLS, you can get it through FMLS, it doesn't matter, it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Check these fools out.
Okay.
Come over here.
For those of you who don't know what forewarn is, it's a number check of the registered cellular user. So if they tell you their name is Danny Hopkins, but when you check forewarn, it says John Smith. Then you know right off the bat, that's part of fraudulent.
It will tell you the property that they own, it will also
Yeah.
tell you the vehicles that they drive.
And forewarn will also tell you if someone has a bankruptcy. So I've had people reach out to me about buying houses. And then you look on forewarn and they filed bankruptcy 3 months ago.
Yeah, so you guys know for a loan, you can't have a bankruptcy within 3 years. So even, but doesn't mean you discard those clients, just mean you keep on your pipeline in 3 years' time, you can help them. And just like, not that you knew, but, just ask and say, just want to go over some of the loan contingency, just in case you didn't know, if you have any short sale, don't make it directly in foreclosure.
Yeah.
A Chapter 8 or Chapter 7 bankruptcy, most your lender that I know of will not qualify you within X amount of years. So when you do it with a cycle of different items, it doesn't feel like you're targeting them. But it does tell you all that stuff. It'll tell you what kind of car they drive. So if somebody's driving a Toyota Camry and wants to buy $1 million home, I probably question that vehicle and that purchase price.
Maybe they just threw.
San Walton's probably one exception, but.
Not many San Waltons out there yet.
That's conservative enough. Usually when you have that status, you typically move up a vehicle as well. Just because that's what some people feel like they need in order to be successful.
So a couple of things here, please, when it comes to like open houses. Look at doing open houses with multiple people. It's a good,
Yeah.
safe way to be. Like I like doing open, and right now open houses are really, really positive. Because right now, a lot of our buyers, unfortunately, we have a lot of agents that are doing buyer brokerage agreements wrong. They're standing in a doorway saying, if you'll sign this document, I'll show you the house. So we got a lot of buyers that are going to open houses right now because they don't know you, they don't trust you yet. It's a great opportunity. And so when they come in, if they don't want that house, if you're there working with something, you can take somebody and go start looking at other homes right now. So I like that, but please be careful there. The other, one of the others, like when you're showing property, don't walk in a door first. You open the door, you step back, let them go in. Don't put your back to people. It's just about being really, really smart. Don't meet somebody that you haven't verified. I mean, one of the things that I like the most about, one of the new rule changes that came out of the NAR lawsuit is we have to have a buyer brokerage agreement signed prior to showing. Bring them into your office, meet them, know what's going on. The days of having to meet somebody at a house, like that's the scary part right there. I don't know you. I don't know if you're planning to hurt me or do something fishy. So by setting those appointments in advance, you fix a lot of those problems. Because if they're looking, they ain't coming to the office, right? They're not going to meet you at Chick-fil-A. They want to be when it's just one-on-one, and they want to try and take advantage of you. So having buyer brokerage agreements and having meetings with the folks before you show property, that really is very smart. How you show property. If you're going someplace and you're meeting them alone, you haven't met them before. Have somebody else on the phone with you. Have someone go with you. Those kind of things. I hate that we have to have this conversation. I wish we didn't, but we do. And I want you to stay safe. It's one of those things that we talk about a lot, but like.
Here, just so you know, when I have a listing and I have a unrepresented buyer that I never met before, I'll drag him. I say, hey, why don't you
Let's
drive
go.
me? Or I'll ask somebody else to go with me if he's not available. Yeah, it's not just a safety issue for me because there's no money in the world that's worth the risk of your life or being injured. Okay.
No. This is one of the things that keeps me up at night. I worry about y'all. I mean, just because I don't want anybody to get hurt. And sometimes it can be very easy. Like the guy, Winston, he's like, I have $500,000 cash. Come show me this house. Yeah.
I say, send me a proof of funds. I'm not. I say, I'm sorry, but before I show anything, folks that are selling $3 million property wants a proof of fund or lender's letter before you even step in. Because they have certain assets they have to protect and they don't know you come
Yes.
after them. They don't know if you're lucky lose or you're there to scope out their house and steal.
Yeah.
So therefore, explain that to the client. And 9 out of 10, if they're legit, they'll understand, but if they get a little belligerent, then understand they're not a true client, okay? Because I will turn that back to them, and say, if you're gonna sell this place, how do you feel? What will you say?
So I hate to end on like a negative note, but just be smart. But please, right now is a very good time in real estate. Be ready for what's going on right now. Engage with your clients. We have more people getting pre-approved. We've got a lot of properties to go show them right now. Now is a great time to be jumping in. Please don't hold back is really what I'm saying here, because now's not the right time. We're heading into the right time of year where we have a ton of transactions. So let's capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
Is really what I want to say. So congratulations to our top producers. Now is when we're going to switch to our local one. We also have Levi with us, who is top in the company. Well,
Hear what Levi had to say?
no,
Ken?
no.
Okay.
We're
I just wanna-
going to the local
Excuse
meeting
me
now.
Early, I forgot to acknowledge noon, but welcome Noonan as
Yeah.
well.
So, all right, we're going to go to the local meeting now, and thank you guys very much. So.